Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode 11 of the Maturish podcast. It is so amazing to be joined by all of you. I'm Kobe, one of your amazing co-hosts here. You can call me Kobe. I'm your friend, I'm your brother, I'm your confidant, but more importantly, I am the boat. The best of all time, the best to ever do it. And just like every previous episode of Maturish, and if you're new here, you should probably go back and listen to them. They're really, really good. Now, I might seem a little biased or whatever, because, hey, like, it totally is me doing it. But no, they're really good. But just like every other episode, y'all, I'm not here alone. I'm not here alone because...
Is that a Twizzler? Oh, shit.
I'm joined
I love Twizzlers.
by one of the best people to ever live. This is a friend, a lover. This is not the time. Get it, Donald. Put it down.
Who?
Put it down.
Hey, Kobe.
Down.
I found a Twizzler.
Do I need to get the squirt bottle?
No.
Donovan Lowry.
God damn. I do love me a good Twizzler in the morning.
I know you do. So, today, I decided that there's something that we could talk about here. And it's coming off the heels of something that we all do. It's something that we all have to learn how to do. Donovan, that is forgiveness. So, first things first, before we get into this topic, I would like to give a shout out to one of our sister partners here, Simone Sense. So, ladies and gentlemen, enjoy this infomercial. Give me the twist.
No!
Give me the twist.
No!
Give me the twist.
No!
Come here.
I'm eating it.
Give me the twist.
No!
Donovan.
No!
Let it go.
I'll bite you too. You better move.
Give me the twist.
Give me my Twizzler back.
Give me the twist.
No! Oh.
Okay.
Hey, the old house stink? Well, we have the solution for you. Over at Simone Scents, there's a large selection of scented candles for you to choose from. There's gasoline, nail polish, even Nickelodeon. Whatever you want, she's got it. Support a black-owned local small business in Simone Scents. Simone Scents, where your scent is our priority.
We're back, everybody.
Hey.
It's me, and I have my partner ready to go, Donovan Lowry.
Yeah.
Say hey to everybody.
Hi.
How are you doing today, Donovan?
Not okay.
Would you like to talk about it?
No.
Good. So, the topic for today is forgiveness. So, forgiveness is something that we all have to learn how to do in life. Something is going to happen, somebody's going to do something, or just something that you have to learn to forgive and move on. So, the definition of forgiveness is a deliberate decision to release feelings of resentment or vengeance towards something that has hurt you. So, just off of that definition,
I'm sorry. The who, baby?
that dictionary definition,
Oh.
Donovan, what does that mean to you? How often do you find yourself having to forgive people or having to release feelings of resentment or vengeance towards something that has hurt you?
I'm sorry. Were you speaking to me? What you're writing there is everything okay?
So, based off of that definition,
What definition?
the deliberate decision to release feelings of resentment or vengeance towards something that has hurt you.
Mm-hmm.
How often do you find yourself having to forgive somebody or something for making you feel a certain way or for just doing something to you?
Never.
Mm-hmm.
I don't forgive people because I do not feel emotions.
Mm-hmm.
I am often, all the time, the one that needs to be forgiven.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You know, I usually just don't care what people do. Because, like, you know, people, they're all worthless. There are so many of them. Like, who cares? There are literally, 8 billion people? If someone does something to me, there's another one out there ready for me to grab by the throat and take them for myself. So, like, why forgive someone when there are other people to use for my own selfish gain?
Mm-hmm. Okay. So I see that with you.
Mm-hmm.
You are a very self-centered person.
Yeah.
Almost every day, and I think every day, I do bring up the fact you have zero consideration.
Zero.
For other people.
Right.
How you make other people feel.
Of course. You know, because why would I? As long as I don't feel bad, why would I care about how you feel?
Right. And every day I find myself having to forgive you for the anger that is cast upon me.
Right.
For the anger and a host of other feelings that you make me and have made other people feel.
Right.
First thing about anger is people need to realize that it'll pass through and happiness will come eventually.
It will.
But forgiveness, we need to realize that with forgiveness, not everything can be forgiven.
Right.
That's the first thing. Your husband cheating on you 30 years into your marriage is probably a little unforgivable.
It happens.
But you could probably forgive your best friend for gossiping about you in middle school.
Right.
You know, those things don't weigh out. Some things need to be let go. But at the end of the day, it's all up to you, really. And what you hold, what grudges you hold, and what you do with that information.
Right.
Because not everybody goes through the same things, right?
Of course.
So, once again, I'll ask, and we could even take this. Have you ever found yourself caught in the middle of some drama or in a relationship where something happens that somebody has hurt you? Words were said, and you needed to realize that I need to forgive them. So you crossed the line there, and it affected me.
That's a beautiful question.
Thank
I'm about
you.
to answer it right here. You ready? Now, it doesn't happen often, but when I feel a line has been crossed, you are dead to me. And I will never speak to you again. Because once you make me feel unhappy, you are now worthless to me, you are trash, and you are the scum of the earth.
Right.
If you feel that you are in such a way that you need to make me feel bad, then go die, honestly. Because there are 8 billion other people that I can take advantage of.
So it's not okay for people to treat you that way.
Right.
And it's not okay for you to treat people that way either.
Yes, it is.
It's not. It is not.
Why not?
So, with forgiveness,
Okay.
I find it to be a 7-step process. There are 7 steps to forgiveness.
Well, those are your steps.
And last week was the holiday episode.
Yes.
And things kind of boiled over there. I let my emotions get the best of me in certain situations.
You
And
sure did.
Today I promised myself I'm not going to do that.
You shouldn't have did that.
I shouldn't have. And I've forgiven myself for my actions.
That's good.
Because not only do you need to learn to forgive other people, but you need to learn to forgive your own actions as well.
Right.
But this week, I'm going to ask very nicely.
Okay.
We're 10 minutes in.
Right.
If I'm speaking, wait for me to stop. Then give me comments. Forgiveness is a 7-step process. And with these 7 steps, you probably need to hit all 7 of them.
Right.
Before you can truly
that's true.
consider yourself free
Of course.
of the burden.
Mm-hmm.
So those 7 steps are very simple steps, but very necessary steps at the same time. 1 is to acknowledge.
Mm-hmm.
2 is to consider. 3 is to accept. 4 is to determine. 5 is to repair. 6 is to learn. And 7, of course, is to forgive. So I'm going to ask you about each of these steps, starting with number 1, to acknowledge. If there's a problem, if there's something that needs to be forgiven, the way you act, the way somebody else has acted, how do you know that it's a problem? At what point do you acknowledge it as a problem? Do you realize that it's been a problem?
Yes. And I acknowledge that when they do the bad thing and I make a frowny face.
So that's your way of
Right.
acknowledging that there's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Is immediately, right then and there, in the moment,
Yes.
you said something wrong.
Yeah.
Because my demeanor is starting to change.
Yes. I make a frowny face.
Right. So number 2 is consider. Consider that there's a problem. Once you've acknowledged the problem, now is the part where we go, is that really a problem? Is what they really did something that bothers me? How does that process go for you?
There's no need to consider. I've already made my frowny face.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a problem.
Right. Right out the gate.
Yeah.
So acceptance. And this is where I feel as if a lot of people give up in the process. Mm-hmm. And this is why a lot of people are not able to forgive.
Mm-hmm.
Do you accept your own actions? Have you come to accept them? And have you come to accept the actions of other people in ways that have hurt you?
I love my actions.
That doesn't answer my question. That is a simple yes or no question. Do you accept your actions that have hurt other people?
Yes.
And have you accepted the actions of others that have hurt you?
Sure.
And how does that process go for you?
Well, I accept that I treat people bad. And I accept that they treat me bad. Which is why they're not in my life anymore. Mm-hmm. That's it.
So after acceptance, it's time to determine how we really dive into this process. We've acknowledged that there's a problem. We've considered if it's really a problem. No. And we have accepted the problem. So now what we're going to do is determine how we are going to fix the internal problem. Because forgiveness is something that we have to do internally in order to externally be fixed.
Right.
So typically, when it comes down to forgiveness, having to forgive somebody, having to forgive yourself, what do you do to start that process officially?
I ghost them.
That's it.
Yeah.
Just immediately cease all communication.
Yes.
Done.
Yep.
And after you determine there's a problem, well, now it's time to repair. We repair ourselves.
Right.
They've hurt you.
Mm-hmm.
You realize it's a problem.
Yeah.
And you've come up with a way to fix it. You've ghosted them.
Right.
But now you have to repair what they hurt. How do you repair that?
I look in the mirror and I say, oh no, Donovan has a frowny face. So I turn on my phone and I go on TikTok, and now I'm not frowny face no more. Now I'm happy face.
So you've repaired the initial hurt.
Yeah.
And now the next step, of course, is to learn. You've learned how they hurt you.
Yeah.
Now, and this is also where a lot of people tend to get caught up because they don't fully acknowledge this step as a step, is you have to acknowledge how they hurt you and learn from your mistake.
Right.
And learn from their mistake.
Right.
Do you find a lot of your friendships that have ended or relationships, do they end in similar ways?
Yeah.
There's a ghosting process, so you haven't necessarily learned from that.
I learned to not talk to that person anymore.
That person, but it's a repeated action.
Yeah.
Just with a different person playing the role.
Right.
So you have not learned.
Yeah, I have.
You have not.
Uh-huh.
No.
I learned not to talk to that person.
To that person.
Yeah.
But the action is still the same. It doesn't matter. The character playing the role is still being played.
Right.
You have not learned.
Yeah, I have.
Therefore, truly deep down, nothing has been forgiven.
I forgave myself.
You forgave yourself for allowing them to hurt you.
Yeah.
So then you went and you allowed somebody else to hurt you. And it's a repeated process.
Yeah.
And you can forgive yourself for allowing people to hurt you.
Yeah.
That's only hurting yourself. In a way, that's you hurting yourself, allowing yourself to be hurt that way.
Right. I don't care, so it's okay.
Interesting. So the thing about forgiveness is that it's subjective.
Right.
It is very subjective. What I have forgiven might not be something that you would forgive.
Right.
And the same vice versa. What I learned from my experiences and the actions I then put forth might not be actions that you would put forward after learning your lessons.
Right.
Very obviously so. So, here's 2 questions for you. Are you able to forgive somebody for their actions? Somebody that's hurt you, if they're not sorry for hurting you? I mean, it's something that we've all been a part of, whether it's a toxic friendship. I asked a question. I asked a question.
Huh?
If somebody is not sorry for their actions, can you forgive their actions?
You can.
How so?
By forgiving them. And then you say, heck it, and you move on.
The next question.
Right.
Because someone asks you to forgive them, because of a personal reason, or it bothers them that they treated you a certain way, do you have to?
No.
Because I want forgiveness, do you have to grant me that forgiveness?
Mm-mm.
Why not?
Because it's my pick.
Is it?
Yeah.
How so?
Just because
you ask for something doesn't mean I give it to you.
Right.
So when the person say, "Oh, I did a bad thing, I make you frowny face," be my friend again, I'm gonna say no. Because you already made me frowny face and I'm already not talking to you.
So going back to the 7-step process, you acknowledge the problem, you consider the problem, but you don't truly accept the problem because you don't forgive.
No.
Don't you see that as a bit of a problem?
No.
So another thing about forgiveness is that there is no time frame. And this is something that a lot of people you'll find is there's been lots of people who have gone through divorces, for instance. There are some people who are free the second that the judge grants them their divorce. They're able to move on that very moment and go on with their lives. Then there's people who have to take years, 5, 10 years, to refine themselves because they truly don't know who they are without that person. There is no time frame for forgiveness because, once again, forgiveness is subjective.
Right.
Not everything needs to be forgotten, but not everything is worth holding on to.
Right.
And it sounds like you're the type of person to hold grudges.
No.
How not?
Because.
You
Right.
just said, okay, once somebody does you wrong,
Frowny face.
that's it.
Yeah.
And you're not willing to grant them that forgiveness.
Right.
That's holding a grudge.
No.
How not?
Because.
If you're not forgiving them,
Right.
you're holding that grudge.
No.
Yes, that's literally what it is.
No.
How else? How not?
Because they make me frowny face. And
Right.
they
So
don't.
forever. I mean, I could make you angry right now,
Right.
but that doesn't mean I'm necessarily making you angry tomorrow. So that would be you holding the grudge from now forever if you're still angry about words that are said today. And unless you grant that forgiveness, you can't continue on.
Are you planning to make me frowny face?
I think you need to realize your emotions aren't the only emotions that are always what needs to be considered. And you seem to be a very self-centered person. Now, you this entire time have talked about if somebody makes you, quote unquote, frowny face
Yes.
and how you handle that. But why don't you take the time to accept and work on when you make somebody feel that way? Why is it okay in that aspect, but not okay when the cards are flipped?
Because it's not me.
It's not you,
No.
but it's them. So how is that okay? It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I do.
It doesn't.
Why? It's not me. I'm not frowny face.
You're not. But you shouldn't be comfortable living life making other people feel less than or go through any certain emotion that isn't an uplifting feeling. And that's what you do. You demean, you put down,
Yes.
but heaven forbid somebody does it to you.
Right.
So there is a thing called karma, and there's a saying that you reap what you sow.
Right.
So how is it not okay that you get what you've been giving,
Right.
yet when that happens, it's not okay?
Because it not happened to me.
It will. Everything comes back at the end of the day, yes? I mean, let's think about it, right? We can use us for an example again. If I wrong you,
Right.
you probably hope, fingers crossed, Kobe gets his. Because he deserves it. He made me angry. And that's what'll happen. When you wrong somebody, that's stealing, that's cheating on you. You know, it's bound, whatever it is, it's bound to come back to you. Doesn't matter if you're religious, if you put things into the universe, if you manifest things, it's all bound to come back, your wrongdoings? How is it that we can't accept it when it comes back to us, yet we don't care when we're dishing it out? What's the difference?
Because it don't.
That doesn't make sense. It doesn't what?
Because you said at the end of the day. At the end of the day, I sleep like a baby.
Maybe today.
Yeah.
And maybe last night.
Mm-hmm.
But who's to say you won't be in a situation 5-10 years from now where you're just down in the dumps because it's going to catch up. So why do we wait instead of stopping? Instead of acknowledging the problem, considering our actions, and going from there? Because forgiveness isn't just for other people. In order to grow in life, sometimes you have to forgive yourself for your past actions.
Right.
Getting out of prison, you probably have to forgive yourself for the action that you did in order to move on in life. Even if you've not been to prison, any little thing you do, if you cuss somebody out for no reason, if you're just not a good person, you'll have to eventually stop and forgive yourself for being that person to move on. Right.
No.
Yes. How not?
Because why?
Why not?
Why would I?
Do you think that living that life, the life that you've described, that of toxicity, will be able to be lived forever and ever for the next 2, 5, 10, 50 years? You'll be able to just keep on doing that?
Yeah, it'd be working.
You don't think... I mean, it's worked for 19 years, right? It's worked for 19 years. But eventually, people open their eyes and people realize that that's not right.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, it's subjective and there is no time frame. But at what point will you maybe see that that's not okay?
It is okay.
It's not.
Mm-hmm.
How is it okay?
Because it be working.
It works.
Mm-hmm.
For who?
For me.
How?
I be chilling.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you have a good little system around you.
Yeah.
You have supportive parents, a nice little friend group, and everybody's there for you. But eventually, not necessarily a friend group, but you have friends. If a line gets crossed on your part, that one by one, those people disappear, is that when you'll see that there's a problem? What do you think it would take for you? Because a lot of people have had eye-openers already.
Right.
You haven't had, maybe not. Maybe you have had yours and you didn't acknowledge it as your eye-opener. Or maybe you just simply haven't. But what from your actions will have to happen for you to realize that your actions aren't bad? They aren't accepted.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of forgiveness, I think at the end of the day, it truly is subjective. And it depends on the person and what you deem forgivable in order for you to forgive said thing. In life, people have to learn certain lessons because those are the cards that they've been dealt. And not everybody's been dealt the same cards as you. So you don't necessarily see. You don't see. You don't see the picture. You don't see what's being said. And there's a difference between hearing and listening. There's a difference because I can hear the words that you're saying to me, but listening and comprehending those words is a bigger step, and not everybody takes that step. Forgiveness is not a open issue. It's not up to me to decide what you need to forgive. Same vice versa, anybody. You can go see a therapist or a counselor and they can tell you what you should do. But at the end of the day, it's up to you to forgive. When you think of forgiveness, a lot of people probably sit back and they realize that it's this person did me wrong, so maybe I need to forgive them. But once again, it's not always a somebody else issue. And what are you doing or what have you done that you might have to forgive in order to continue on in the future? I don't think a lot of people are as focused on the long run as people should be. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. A lot of people are stationary and they're comfortable. Do I say comfortable funny? Mm-hmm. Comfort.
That's how you say it.
Okay. Yeah. They're comfortable of where they're at right now. So as long as life continues on this way, then there's no problem. Where I'm at right now is perfectly fine. The support system I have is okay. Everything I'm doing right now seems to be working out all right for me. So there's nothing that needs to change. But that's kind of like a blind man leading the pack, so to speak, and it's really just a pack of one. We don't realize, especially being young adults, and I think this is just a generation, that we're either on one side with this issue or another side. You either are somebody who doesn't let things affect you. You go through and you just live life being mellow as possible. And you don't care how people treat you. You don't care how you treat people, because at the end of the day, it's okay. Or you're on the other side of that. And everything you do, you assess. And you realize how you talk to people, how you treat people. And not saying that you should treat everybody the same, because there are people who do in fact wrong you. And there are steps that need to be taken. Once again, it's a 7-step process. But you need to see that, or we need to see, I should say, that what it is it truly starts from within. A lot of people were very easily able to point fingers. If this didn't happen in my life, then I wouldn't be where I am. If this friend didn't leave me, if this person didn't break up with me, if I had this person, if this person didn't die, that kind of thing, then I'd be okay. And we use that to continue being stationary. And we allow these things to hold us back. Stationary should only be a rest. If you're running a marathon, sometimes you're allowed to take a breather, stop, pick up some water, but that break lasts for 20 seconds during that 3-hour marathon. Now, life is a bit of a marathon in itself. And taking your 20 seconds, so to speak, to drink your water is okay. But when that 20 seconds has turned into months, and when that 20 seconds has turned into years of just drinking your water, at what point will you realize it's time to finish the race? It all comes back to the age-old question of how can you do for you if you can't do for you? You cannot. There's a reason everybody acts the way they act. And it all starts from within. Using myself for an example, I am a very carefree person in the aspect I don't care what everybody is doing. I don't need thousands and thousands of friends. I'm not begging for attention. I just don't care in that aspect. I have the little circle. I wouldn't even consider it a circle because my people are not people with my people. My people are people with me. I know what I've done in the past, and past friendships that could still be friendships had somebody not have said certain words, had they not have done certain actions, and the same vice versa. And life would be different had things not have happened. And it's everything is kind of like an alternate universe kind of thing. If this person never entered your life, how would it have played out in the long run? You know? We all have gone through that, but with me, it all comes down to acceptance. In terms of forgiveness, I know where I've wronged. And I know what actions of mine have been wrong or not. And even if it's the action was provoked, that doesn't necessarily mean it was right. There are times where you just need to learn to be the bigger person. And I think I finally gotten to the point in life now, where I can finally take my 20 seconds of water. Because the marathon that I've already been running, I've had to jump over hurdle after hurdle and obstacle after obstacle. I've gone around and I've ducked and I've jumped. Twists and turns, and I've maneuvered around them, but I can finally drink my water. Because I've gotten to a place of self-acceptance. A place of, I know right now, currently in life, I'm not doing anything wrong. My actions towards others, my actions towards anything is where it should be and where I should be. So I can take my 20-second water break because I'm at a point where life is just happening. And I'm allowing it to happen. Forgiveness is a very magical thing. Because I would, like you said earlier, Donovan's still here.
Hey.
Like you said earlier, the whole ghosting thing. You just leave somebody alone, so that means they don't exist anymore, right? Wrong. Very much wrong. Just because you stop talking to somebody, I could cease any relationship we have between us and right now. But just stop talking to you to end communication does not undo the actions. What if I've done wrong? You just stop ending communication does not undo the wrong, right? So I think people need to come to terms with the fact of we all have coping mechanisms with everything. And like I've said 10 times already, but it's all subjective. What works for you might not work for somebody else. But we need to make sure our coping mechanisms are healthy. And when I say healthy, it doesn't mean, gets rid of your cough. You need to be emotionally available. You need to be mentally available and physically as well. We tend to only focus on ourselves because at the end of the day, if you're happy, who cares if the next person is happy? Who cares if, whatever? But that shouldn't be how it was. And that was a lesson it took me forever to learn how to play that game. Because at the end of the day, if me going to bed, as long as I put my head on my pillow, I was cool. I was straight. I was going to wake up the next morning and continue to live life the way I needed to. But a version of myself that I used to be, I didn't realize that waking up and doing actions caused onto other people. And it was very much something that, because you don't acknowledge it as a problem, you don't think it's a problem. It's not a problem to you, so it's not a problem, right? But it is. Your actions cause ripple effects in people's lives. And at the end of the day, it all comes to one. It's all one big story, yet we're each characters in it. And in order for this book to end correctly, we all need to learn how to play our roles right. That's not something we do. Accountability is what I truly think is the first step. And accountability is the thing that people don't do the most, because we like to come up with excuses. The reason I act this way is because of how she treated me. The reason I'm like this is because 15 years ago, somebody broke my trust. So I'm going to make sure I can't trust anybody. It's toxic, and it needs to be let go. We all need to be able to see, because I don't see how you can forgive other people if you can't forgive yourself. Because at the end of the day, the selfishness that derives from only making sure that you're happy, you should also be able to make sure that if your actions are wrong, you need to right them. You can't be upset with other people's actions and how they're acting, but then do those same actions. It doesn't make sense. And it's a lesson that people don't think they have to learn because they're stationary. They're not running their marathon. And it's so weird. I don't necessarily think that as people, we deliberately do what's wrong. Because you get to a point, everybody, you hit a certain point in life when you know right from wrong. And that was, it's like 10 years old. I mean, from the get-go, when you're a toddler, your parents tell you, don't put that in your mouth. That's not food. That's a glue stick. That's not, and rather that's a glue stick, eating it at 2 years old, or driving when you're 16, you should probably stop at that red light. You know right from wrong. And not everything should necessarily be enforced. It shouldn't necessarily have a penalty for you to not do that action. Bullets physically hurt. And shooting somebody is punishable by the law. I don't see why words aren't held to that same standard. Why I could physically hurt you with a bullet, I could mentally do the same amount of damage with the words that come out of my mouth. So why aren't those held to the same standard? Or why is one version okay? I can mentally hurt somebody. I can emotionally derail them, but physically is wrong. That doesn't make sense. I don't quite get that. Long story short, I think we need to get to a point where we realize life isn't all just external. As long as I wake up and there's a smile on my face, then I'm okay. And that's not true. Because everything is so much deeper than a smile. Everything is so much deeper than just waking up and doing the same routine. Every day, if you're not assessing the actions you do throughout that day, and I'm not saying, doing the same thing every day is wrong. If the actions that you do every day are bad and you don't see a problem with those actions, that's what's wrong. If you continue to wake up every morning and you demean, you talk down, you hurt people. Because once again, hurt just isn't a physical feeling. There's no difference between slashing somebody's arm and name calling and just talking down. There's no difference. It's hurt, it's just a different kind of hurt. If you can't realize that that is a problem and you can't change that, then that's a problem in itself. And all that happens is problems build on top of problems, on top of problems, on top of problems. Then you get to a point where it's like the table is full. Well, now what? Then you wake up and you see that there's nobody there to help you. Because you've done so much wrong, nothing that you do anymore is right. And it's a hard pill to swallow. And it takes a lot of self-reflecting. And in the moment, you might have to reflect upon how people have treated you. Because I think what tends to happen the most, I'm trying to figure out how to put this into words, is an action is done to us. And we know that it hurts. So when we want to hurt somebody, we then do that action. Because when Joe Blow from the block did it to me, I felt that hurt. So now I'm going to administer that hurt onto somebody else. And that should not be something that happens. We should have been able to assess the pain and patch that. Don't let other people's influence upon you turn you into something that is not good. Because at the end of the day, we all have that cartoon little devil me on the left shoulder, angel me on the right. And you, more likely than not, you listen to the devil because what they say is it's cool and it's fun. But that angel, it's speaking from experience. It's speaking from a level of maturity. And it's all fun now, but it can't be fun forever. And I don't think that's what people fail to understand. It's just because something works now doesn't mean it's going to work forever. And we need to find a balance. How you acted 3 years ago and how you handled situations 3 years ago should not truly still be how you handle situations now. Things could potentially be easier because you experienced a first breakup, a first heartbreak, and you learn now, well, now I know how to cope with that. Or you went down one bad path and you kept making the wrong turn, and now everything is getting worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. What starts out as fun, what starts out as one bad choice leads to more. And I don't think, for whatever reason, we realize that. And it doesn't quite make sense. At the end of the day, I know I just had to get to a point where I had to open my eyes. Clean the lens of your glasses and truly see how what I was putting out was not positivity, was not joy, was not happiness. And that had to change. I was proud of who I was, But you can't just live life according to yourself. You can't just be stationary in your own feelings. You need to take into consideration what not only how your best friend might feel from your actions, but how a stranger at the grocery store might feel from those same actions. You know, you might have to deal with it more if it's your best friend, but there'll be ripple effects from you treating a stranger that way. At the end of the day, we shouldn't treat people bad, period. But it shouldn't just matter on your relation to the person. Oh, I don't know them, so who cares? They do. And the people around them probably do. You should treat everybody as if everybody's one and the same. Because at the end of the day, we truly are. We all bleed red. We all have hearts that beat. We're all people. It doesn't matter your color, your gender, what you identify as, your sexuality, nothing. It doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, we're all people. We need to get to a point in life of forgiveness. There's so much bad in the world. And so many bad things have happened. But you can't just dwell upon the bad. You need to forgive, but not forget. That's really the key. Is you need to be able to forgive, but not forget. I remember how you wronged me as a friend, and I'm willing to accept you, but I'm not going to forget how you wronged me, and I'm not going to give you the opportunity to do it again. Nothing like that, but you shouldn't hold a grudge. Are there people who you'll probably never talk to again in life because of their actions and how their actions have impacted upon you? Yes. But holding that grudge and allowing that person to impact your happiness is not okay. And it doesn't matter who it is. If it's a former friend, if it's a parent, if they're related to you or not, point period blank, no matter who it is. Don't let other people impact you. And it doesn't matter how it happens. Just don't let the negativity reach too far. Know your boundaries, set your boundaries, and always be able to forgive. Because at the end of the day, everybody's replaceable. If the people that are around you aren't working anymore, then you need to be able to accept that and move on. It might be a little harder if it's a parent, if it's a sibling, if it's somebody who's directly attached to you by blood, by name. But at the end of the day, it's what's necessary, because there's always going to be more. For every 2 wrongs, there's 5 rights. So you just need to choose the path that you're going to go down. And at the end of the day, if it's the one that's red instead of green, perhaps, don't let your actions, your negative choices, negatively affect other people. Because it's all just a choice. I think what's right is we all just reflect from like this moment on. For me, it's a daily thing. Every night I sit back and I reflect upon the conversations I had that day. I reflect upon the actions. If I was with somebody, what did I say to them, or what did I do to them? Was that okay? Was it not okay? And I think that's something we all need to do. Just get into the swing of it and realize that there's more to life than just you. And we all need to become a cohesive team in order for life to fully work. Because it won't work with just you. That's it. Donovan.
Huh.
Is there something you'd like to add to the conversation?
I think the conversation's already been had.
It has. I didn't say anything wrong today.
No,
That I didn't do.
I did. Whoopsies.
I'm not gonna agree with you, but I'm not disagreeing either.
All right.
We all need to find that inner acceptance, that inner forgiveness. And truly, it all starts with you. It started with me. It'll start with you. It'll start with you. And we need to realize what the problems are, what the cause of the problem is, and the solution to the problem before we can move on in life. Everything has to have that same mindset. Every relationship needs to be held to the same standard. You shouldn't accept something from one person, but not be able to accept it from another. Wrong is wrong and right is right. Point, period, blank. Everybody is replaceable. Unfortunately, you can live life without a certain person. It might be hard, but it has to be done if necessary. Realize that there's a light at the end of every tunnel, but you have to get through that dark tunnel in order to reach that light.
Dang.
I don't think y'all heard me. I don't think y'all heard me, so I'm going to repeat myself, okay? Turn up the volume real quick, okay? If you're wearing earbuds, AirPods, whatever, disconnect your Bluetooth, unplug them, turn it up, tell the room to be quiet, and everybody listen. Hi, it's Kobe from Candid Productions. Donovan is here too.
Hi.
Hey, y'all. What I just said was, there's a light at the end of every tunnel, but you need to get through the darkness of that tunnel in order to reach that light. It's not going to come to you. You need to be able to forgive the darkness for being what it is in order to finally reach that light and in order to move on. I know what works for me, and I feel like everybody needs to find what works for them in order to get to that same place. And at the end of the day, whether you do it when you're 18, 19, 20 years old, or if it takes you until you're 90 and on your deathbed, at the end of the day, as long as we all come to our own personal clarity and we all learn how to forgive and we all acknowledge the steps to forgiveness, and we all do the forgiving, then we'll reach our personal light. And just because somebody else has doesn't necessarily mean it's your time too. You'll know when it's your time. You'll know when the time is right. And just because the clock is ticking and the Glocks are blinking, the illnesses are sickening.
Amen.
The stars are glistening.
All right.
That a dude. Let's just all get to a point where we can. I think that's my catchphrase.
I think someone's been listening.
I'm sorry, because I'll send a cease and desist. Didn't do it as good as me, though. We all need to get to a point of self-forgiveness in order to move on to forgive others. We're easily able to see where other people do wrong, and it might take a little longer to see where you personally do wrong, but at the end of the day, it all needs to be realized. And you're not truly happy, and you're not truly over a situation until it's been forgiven. Just because you've forgiven somebody's actions does not mean you have to forgive them. Just because you've forgiven somebody's actions does not mean you have to forgive them. Let their actions be a lesson. And knowing that you will not allow anybody else in life to do you that way. But you have to forgive. Thank you, everybody, for sitting down and having this conversation with me. It was needed. And I know a lot of... Do you ever speak and you don't know what you're going to say, right? But damn, it makes sense.
Oh, yeah. All the time.
No, baby. You speak, but you don't get to that make sense part.
It makes sense to me.
A lot of the things I just said, I didn't realize I was going to say. And it came from a point of self-realization. And I was having to listen as I was speaking at the same time. While I was talking across the table, and while I was talking into a microphone, it was a lot of self-talking that was happening at the same time. At the end of the day, that conversation needs to be had, whether you're having it with somebody across the table from you to listeners of the best podcast to ever exist, or if you're just having that conversation with yourself laying in bed, the conversation needs to happen. And it doesn't have to happen at that moment. It doesn't have to happen right now for everybody, but it needs to happen. We all need to get to a point collectively where we are able to have that conversation to all get to the same point of forgiveness and clarity. I'm on my way there. I've realized what I've needed to do. I've acknowledged, I've considered, I've accepted. But now it's down to determining where I go from here, repairing myself, learning from mine and others' mistakes in order to ultimately forgive. Thank you for listening to this episode 11.
Yeah.
That is insane. 11 straight weeks.
That's almost 3 months.
Donovan Lowry.
I knew I was talking about there.
Yep. So everybody, the takeaway is forgiveness is necessary. That's from me, but from Donovan.
Yeah, I got it.
Come on.
Always remember, 11 weeks is almost 3 months.
It took us an hour to get that out of you. God damn, Donovan. You shouldn't hold on to things like that for that long.
It's just like...
If you would have said that at the beginning, we could have ended the recording then.
It's just when there's something on my chest, I'm going to get it off.
As you should.
So it is.
Thank you, everybody, for listening. I'm Kobe.
I'm Donovan.
And you can follow us on all major social media platforms. If it's a platform with a username, that username is _KD Productions _ Facebook, YouTube, &D Productions. That OnlyFans is coming soon.
Mm-hmm. Patreon.
It is. We're figuring it out. We got y'all. And y'all have us. Thank you so much for listening. We'll be back next Monday with what I wish I knew.
Yep.
I wish I knew.
That's something we got to figure out.
It is. And we'll either figure it out now,
Right.
or we'll figure it out like 3 minutes before we press record. But either way, we'll be here next Monday.
So hell,
Noon, Central Standard. Hopefully you come too.
Please do.
I'll be coming.
Please come.
Once again, I'm Kobe.
I'm Donovan.
And this is and was the Maturish Podcast.